Morning everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our Ironfish Morning Show. I'm Karina Contra-Georges, and joining me today to share and compare their experiences during COVID-19 are property manager Anna Nguyen, leasing manager David Melville, and team leader Vi Luc. Welcome guys, hope you're all well. So I guess just bouncing off what you mentioned about vacancy rates, what would you say the residential rental market looks like at this point in each of your states? And then I guess what can you predict for the next 12 months?
So the vacancy rates, particularly in Brisbane, I'll focus on. I know it's not the be-all and end-all of Queensland, but obviously when people talk about Queensland, they tend to focus on Brisbane. The vacancy rates have obviously weakened quite dramatically around the CBD. They've gone from around the 5.7% in March to around 13.3% this month, which is obviously the highest level ever recorded by SQM research into vacancy rates. So it has been quite a challenge in the CBD. But having said that, in the outer suburbs, we're seeing the exact opposite. Again, where property is affordable, we've actually seen vacancy rates tighten. Some of the areas that we've obviously got lots of investors in have actually tightened from 2.9% to 1.9%, which is fantastic news. As we all know, anything below 2% indicates a really strong and healthy market. So, we've on one side of the fence, we've got a really unhealthy market in the CBD. And then on the other side, we've got a very, very strong market. We're seeing multiple people attend inspections. For instance, I had 24 people at an inspection the other day. So we're getting big numbers through our open homes, and we're getting multiple applications for a lot of our properties. If I'm completely honest, the properties that seem to be struggling are the ones that have come from the short stay accommodation onto the long-term rental market. So it is the furnished properties around that CBD and those inner suburbs that have really suffered the most, we feel. But having said that, there is a silver lining. We're starting to see a bounce back already, quite honestly. So we're very positive what the outcome will be in a few months' time in Queensland.
Similar, but because without further lockdown, I don't see any bounce back anytime soon. But pretty much similar to what David just said. The properties in the Melbourne CBD are affected the most. In the past couple of months, when we did the search and when we talked to our owners, it's definitely a hard conversation to talk to our owners when providing them update with the leasing. But unfortunately, like how Anna just mentioned before, we just have to deliver the bad news. When you see, previously before the pandemic, when you search for a one-bedroom apartment available for rent in the Melbourne CBD, you might have seen, 200 property or 200 property plus. But now you're looking at 2,000, 3,000 property available in the Melbourne CBD by itself. So that's why it takes a lot longer. Previously, vacancy around 1% average in the Melbourne CBD, but it's jumped up so high. And it's similar to Brisbane, like how David said, whereas, outer suburbs didn't seem to be affected too much. We still see people moving, and we still be able to lease out, within a certain period of time. Averagely before the pandemic, vacant property would be in between 3 weeks to be able to lease. Outer suburb, we are still looking at between 3 to 6 weeks maximum during the pandemic, but definitely for Melbourne CBD, we can see that there's a big difference, a significantly big difference. So yeah, that's the struggle, because I guess majority of our tenants in the CBD are overseas student or short stay accommodation company that they renting out these apartments and do it as Airbnb, and it's affecting their business. So a lot of them have to break their lease, returning the keys to us. We have to try to find a replacement tenant for our owners. So that's the challenge there for our office, trying to secure tenants when supply is much higher than demand.
For us, Sydney CBD, the vacancy, we're looking about 7%, but that's changed now, slowly. It's actually dropped down to 4%. So Sydney is bouncing back. I've just checked today, I've done a research, and it says that they believe that we will bounce back by next year and fully recover by 2022. So I can see some movement in Sydney already. So I'm hoping for the best, and that the vacancy rate does stay low. And moving forward, that we can just overcome this. Normally before there'll be, I'd say, vacant period for about more than 2 months. Now we're seeing that reduced to about 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks for next tenant to move in. Yeah, so like I was saying, the people still showing up with inspections. Overall, Sydney as a city, we do have 30,000 vacant properties, empty rentals. But I'm sure as of last week, moving forward, restriction has eased. We do have a social distancing, and people in Sydney are applying to that rule. And I guess based on what's mentioned on the media, there's only recorded cases of people that are inside quarantine for a hotel. Other than that, there's no new cases of the general public that spread outside hotels. So that's very good. People out and about, and I guess we're slowly we're getting there, just to go back to normal. So let's hope for the best.
All right. Well, I guess my final question will be: do you have any advice for landlords and tenants moving forward?
Negotiate your rent. Figure out if you don't negotiate, what other losses compared to when the property is vacant. Negotiate. It's a big advice I have for landlords. Consider the tenant's circumstance and negotiate. That's the key.
I think
Definitely agree.
I think for landlords, exactly touching on that point, for landlords, it's just being realistic in relation to their price expectations at the moment. I think many people are obviously very understanding. Obviously, COVID-19 is happening around. It's a global pandemic, of course. Everybody's heard of it. Everybody's aware of it. So we just need to be mindful of that moving forward. And we've got to understand it. There's not going to be a quick fix to this. It is going to be a long-term thing. It might affect the property market for the next 12 to 24 months. But I'm sure once COVID-19 is over, we should see a strong bounce back for the property market. I don't think the doomsayers and naysayers in the media are telling the truth, if I'm honest with you. There's a lot of positivity out there in the property market. There isn't so much negativity. I heard predictions of 30% and 40% in terms of house price drops. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen, and I'll gladly bet my own house on that.
Yeah, I guess I kind of agree with what Anna suggested. So, it's very important for us to, keep in touch and negotiate. Tenants, if they need help, just reach out to us, contact your property manager, and, let us know your situation, work with us, cooperate with us. Over the past couple of months, I've seen that our owners are very supportive. Like how I mentioned earlier, sometimes they might not be able to, stretch out to the max of what you are asking, but there is always someone willing to, assist you and offer you some sort of rent reductions. Sometimes if you think that you are asking 50% rent reductions, that might be too much, and the owners, might be rejecting. But, keep the communications on and, work together. Some tenants, they might have a wrong impression that they don't have to pay rent because of the eviction being put on hold for 6 months. That's not true. We've been, escalating the case further, and it's got to vacate, and which we don't want to go with because it's time consuming for all of us. And you don't pay rent. At the end of the day, it's the debt for you to pay. And for owner, we don't want to escalate this further because that means that you don't have rent income, maybe in the next 3 or 6 months. So the best way is just keep the conversations on and communicating and trying to get the best outcome, negotiate between us.
Yeah, definitely. Well, look, I think it's safe to say that, managing landlord and tenant relationships during COVID-19 isn't the easiest task. So well done to all of you. I'm sure your ongoing efforts don't go unnoticed, or at least I hope they don't. Well, thanks again to all of you. Really appreciate you joining me today. To all our viewers, if you're loving our videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and share. Also, if you have any topics you'd love us to touch on, feel free to let us know. Until next time, please stay safe and look after yourselves. Thanks again,
Thank
guys.
you, Karina.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank